Each year, the best extreme kayakers from around the world hurl themselves into the raging waters of the famous Velebrucke Rapids. Solid, Class 5 whitewater, 6 degrees cold, a majestic force of nature. It's the Eiger North Wall of whitewater kayaking. Extremely difficult and dangerous. Just to paddle the rapids is an accomplishment on its own. But only the fastest wins the coveted ADIDAS-SICKLINE Extreme Kayak World Champion belt. "5:30 a.m. Extreme Kayak World Champion Sam Sutton likes to wake up early to have enough time to prepare for the race.
The first thing I do is I check the weather because that dictates what the water flows will be like and the line choices through the race. One of the most important parts of the day for me is getting into breakfast. Here I like to have a nice big meal so I don't have to eat a lot during the day. I just like to snack during the day, so I try to load up as much as I can in the morning so I keep my energy levels high through the day. Eggs, they're probably my favourite part of the breakfast, and some good old German meats. So that's quite a nice setting for the day. Loading the kayak, I really check that my boat's going to be good, and then I start to feel how I'm going to feel through the day.
24-year-old Sam Sutton from Rotorua, New Zealand is an extraordinary kayaker. Whitewater is his element, whether he descends high waterfalls or paddles raging waters on adventurous expeditions. Sam is an all-rounder. Some say he's one of the best kayakers in the world, which would explain why he was able to win the ADIDAS-SICKLINE Extreme Kayak World Championship 2 years in a row. He also holds the course record of 55.84 seconds. Now he wants to pull a hat trick.
Then we get up to the river, and this is where you start to meet everybody, and you see the nervous look in other people's eyes, and you can kind of get a feeling for how the day's going to go. The most nervous part of the day for me is actually putting my clothes on. I mean, it's quite cold. You're trying to stay active and keep warm. And then when you put your clothes on, it kind of all comes into reality that it's race day, the final's about to happen. You're wondering how your body's feeling with all your gear on, and it's kind of when you kind of get the pre-race excitement or pre-race nerves. Walking up to the start line, I just keep telling myself, yep, it's going to be good, you're going to be fine, just stay smooth, paddle fast. Starting on the start ramp, we lean forward, roll down, hit the kicker. It's very important that you're keeping your nose up the whole way through the course. As we go through the first rapid, keeping the boat nice and dry, applying pressure, and then into the flat pool. Now this is where we really put 100% power on the paddle. As we get to the end of the flat pool, the compulsory left, we really button off, coming around the corner and trying to keep every stroke counting for something. As we enter the TNT rapid, again, keeping the nose up, keeping our power on, and making sure the line is perfect. This really sets you up for the last big hole, which is going to stop you or ruin your race. Through that, we keep our speed, coming up to the Champion's Killer, slowly get our last stroke, boom. Keeping the boat nice and fast the whole way to the finish line, giving 100% power to victory.
The exciting thing about this race on the Velebrucke Rapid is that we're bringing all the top athletes from all the different disciplines of kayaking. We've got some of the best Olympic slalom paddlers in the world, some of the best extreme creekers in the world, and past and present world champions in freestyle. So it's really exciting to bring all these disciplines onto one rapid and to see who's going to take out the coveted title this year.
The ADIDAS-SICKLINE Extreme Kayak World Championship, in its 5th year, has evolved from a small invitational competition and a race, which mainly attracted European athletes, to the global extreme kayak event, with many different nationalities and world-class athletes at the start. And the level has risen accordingly in the past years. The Velebrucker Rapid is truly a legend in Europe. Every year, the best kayakers in the world come here to confront this river. The water level changes every day, thus the line changes every day, and it's always a new challenge. This rapid has a mysterious touch. Some big names have paddled it, and everyone has done his bit.
In every country you go to around the world on kayaking trips, you find that there's a certain river or rapid that's kind of shrouded in mystery. It's got a bit of aura about it, or from New Zealand we call it mana. And when you come to the Austrian Alps, the Velebrucker is that river. You know, for a long time it stood here unpaddled, and then in the mid-70s it saw its first descent, and since then there's been a few paddlers brave enough to attempt a descent down its raging waters, and it makes it all that more intriguing to bring all these paddlers from around the world to race down the mystical and magical Velebrucker Rapid.
There is a certain myth about the Velebrucker Rapid, because it's a very difficult river section with a row of extreme difficulties and challenges, the equivalent of the Eiger North Wall in climbing. If you've mastered the Velebrucker, you can really be proud of yourself. The picturesque holiday resort Ötz in Tyrol is home to the famous Velebrucker Rapid, which is named after a wooden bridge across the glacier-fed Ötztaler Ache River. The town of Ötz has a long tradition of tourism. A walking trail to the Ach Falls, today's Velebrucker, was already built back in 1885. Cavalry Captain Karl Weller, a loyal visitor of Ötz, donated the bridge, and it was constructed in 1911. Perhaps his motivation was the romantic engagement to his later wife, Josephine Weller, in the vicinity of the bridge. So the first construction and inauguration took place in 1911. And after the First World War in 1919-1920, there was a massive flood, and the bridge was severely damaged. Hence, Captain Weller treated Ötz to a second Velebrucker. I think it's amazing how courageously the kayakers slide down that steep rock at the start below the Velebrucker and hurl themselves into the floods. I truly admired these people. 1976 saw the first descent of the legendary rapids. It was really exciting. Of course, all the preparation and planning, and it was one of the last sections that hadn't been paddled yet. So we were eager to experience something new. Back then, the craze with the first descents was ever present, because they still existed. And we were also having a look around what we could do. And in this case, we said we can only do it in the wintertime, when the water level is lower. It was freezing cold, 11 degrees below zero. There was ice on the shore, like a white winter wonderland. Therefore, we were wrapped in neoprene. To have mastered the section was a great feeling. Taking the last drop, emerging properly, and knowing that I did it. Our motivation was to experience nature in a very special way. Back then, we never imagined that the rapid could be paddled in such a sovereign manner as it is done today. Competitions were never an issue in alpine kayaking at that time, and we never engaged in the topic. But we were fully aware that the development would go on and not end where we stopped. When I see kayakers paddling the Velebrucker Rapid today, I say chapeau, hats off to them.
Well, over the years, the sport of kayaking, the skill level involved has risen a lot. You know, that's through equipment design and what people are willing to push the boundaries of in the sport. And the female component of kayaking has mirrored that. You know, the level of skills that a lot of female paddlers around the world are demonstrating is equal to that of a lot of the men. And over the past 5 Sickline events, we've had a splattering of women amongst the field. And the exciting thing about this year's event is we're having a standalone women's field. We've got 8 competitors, and of those 8, the top through go to the top 50 cut. and competed out for the Sickline Queen.
The water here is pretty powerful for the girls, but I guess the way the race is set up with the qualifier first, you can kind of sieve out the girls that shouldn't really be up the top, and then the rest manage the whitewater really well. And to be honest, a few of the girls are going down the bottom, the crux section and over the Champions Killer a bit better than a few of the guys.
The Velebrook course, it's pretty hard by water, but if you're on the lines, it's actually quite easy. Like, you just have to stick on your lines, and even if you can afford a couple of little mistakes, and you just have to flow with the water. I think for me, it's that I pedal class 5 rapids now. I think it's more experience than courage. It took me a while before I actually was able to run some harder stuff, and I always have been quite careful, and just now I kind of can judge my own skill pretty well, and I need to see my line before I go down and be sure that I make it at the bottom. I think in most of the sports, guys have a bigger muscular base, and they in many of the sports they are better. So as well for kayaking, it's pretty sure that they are stronger, and if they make a mistake, they can pull themselves out more easily than we girls can. It's pretty cool.
The top 3 ladies are nervous. For the first time, they are allowed to race from the top. In the past, they only competed in the lower half of the rapid. Jennifer Crimes from Nottingham Beach is the first to slide off the 6-meter high start ramp. She has world champion titles in freestyle and rafting under her belt. But will she also be the fastest woman on the Velebrook Rapid? In her first run, she clocked 90 seconds. The fastest men paddle the 280-meter-long race course in under 1 minute. She gets a bit submerged in the crux section and is slowed down by the Champions Killer. But her second run is faster than her first, and she takes the lead for now. Having been the best female in the field for the past 3 years, it's no surprise that 23-year-old Martina Beckman from the Netherlands is in the final of the top 3 ladies. She is a skilled whitewater kayaker and has won many extreme races, but the Velebrook Rapid applies its own rules. With the pressure of paddling as fast as you can, one mistake leads to another, and the run unravels. If you lose your line, you lose your race. And if you have to roll in the crux, you ultimately screw up the Champions Killer. And that's what Martina has to undergo now. For Rosalind Lawrence, 23 from New South Wales, Australia, it's her second ADIDAS-SICKLINE World Championship. She is an excellent slalom paddler and was the overall World Cup champion in 2009. Her older sister Jackie won a silver medal at the Beijing Olympics, and Roz is looking to follow in her footsteps. She is able to stick on her line, and she looks pretty solid through the TNT cataract. She also masters the Champions Killer very well. After 2 runs, she has a total time of 2 minutes, 22.59 seconds. So Rosalind Lawrence deservedly wins the women's race and the title, ADIDAS-SICKLINE Queen 2012.
I feel fantastic, but mostly I'm just really happy that the girls were allowed to race on the top. I knew that I just had to put my boat where I wanted it to be and things would be okay. So that's what I tried to do, and I managed to keep it all under control.
Among the top class field, 150 athletes from 30 different countries. We also find a whole kayak family: father, son, daughter, and son-in-law, each of them a world champion in freestyle kayaking. 19-year-old Dane Jackson, a 12-time national champion, who became the first person to participate in all 4 of the freestyle disciplines at the 2011 Freestyle World Championships, and walked away with 3 gold medals and a bronze. Dale's brother-in-law, Canadian-born Nick Troutman, is 5 years older, a 2-time freestyle world champion, and a great expedition kayaker. Nick is married to Emily, the daughter of 48-year-old Eric E.J. Jackson, a multiple world champion freestyle kayaker, kayak designer, and founder of Jackson Kayak.
My name's Dane Jackson, sometimes known as the patriarch of the Jackson family, which is started with my wife Christine. Been married for 24 years. We had a little girl named Emily, who's here with us now, world champion kayaker numerous times, as well as then my son Dane, which you just saw. Dane's now 19 years old, quite an accomplished little boater. When you watch him paddle, just amazing. Then I got a little kid, Casey, 4 years old, one of the worst kayakers of all time, but he's really little, he's not very good yet. But then we also got this kid, Nick, 23 years old, world champion, my training buddy as well as arch competitor, beat me in the Worlds in 2009, and then in the Worlds in 11 too, so I'm not sure what's up with that, have to fix that, but anyway. Super fun having the whole family, all of us get to paddle together every day. It's pretty awesome.
When I was born, my dad was already a pro kayaker. He was a world champion. And when I was about 2, he put me in a kayak and we went down my first river. It was really fun. I don't remember much of it, but it was a great experience and I just gone from there. I started competing and getting competitive in kayaking when I learned how to roll when I was about 8 years old. So ever since then, I've done as many competitions and try to do the best I can. Well, I mean, you ask anybody, our family's definitely more competitive than most people. But what's nice about all of us kayaking together is that if you're just one person in the family that does the sport, you have to find people to train with. But I live with my family, so we travel with them everywhere we go, at home, and we're always together, always able to push each other, and we try to compete against each other as much as we can.
Growing up and getting into kayaking, EJ was definitely one of my heroes and idols in the sport. So kind of getting to be part of the family, it really shows that they're just normal people and just like an everyday person. And so we hang out, goof off, play games, and train hard with each other, and Dane and Emily too. And so competition for us is just another day out on the water. So it's pretty cool being able to train with them and then also compete with them too. I think between the three of us, we've definitely put some training hours in here, but there's also been a lot of people training here this year, and I think every year the competition just keeps stepping up. And I mean, there's a lot of great paddlers out here, so it'll be tough to say who's out there on top, but we'll give it our best.
Unfortunately, no family member made it to the super final.
This is a really legitimate Class 5 rapid, and you know, just to paddle it by yourself is quite an accomplishment. But once you add the aspect of racing, you know, having the crowd there, having the pressure of trying to go as fast as you can and wanting to go as quickly as you can down the course, it adds a whole nother aspect that makes this the real deal. A sick line is one of those notions you have in kayaking. You'll be sitting there looking at a big, hard rapid, trying to figure out how you're going to make your way down, and if all the factors combine, the stars align, and you find that perfect line through a rapid where it's basically the route of least resistance. You get to the bottom in one piece and you look back and think, that was a sick line. And basically that's what these athletes are here trying to find, that perfect line through the rapid. You know, any mistake you make is going to cost you time. And the person who has the sickest line on the Velabruca Rapid this weekend will be the champion at the end of the day.
The super final is about to begin, and Sam Sutton is on his way to the start.
It's hard to block out everybody that's giving you good luck and stuff just because you want to concentrate on what you're doing. When you get up to the start line, you have the opportunity to watch all the other competitors, and that's kind of where it really makes me nervous. And just watching what the other competitors do, because everybody looks fast off the start line. You see a couple of people make mistakes, but where people make their main mistakes is out of our sight. So it's really hard just to stay focused on your race and not worry about what other people are doing. First in the super final was Stingline. He's from Augsburg, Germany, and he was very lucky actually the whole way through the day. He managed to come into the final as a lucky loser, meaning that he had actually lost to somebody in the semi-final, but his time was the fastest losing time, so he made it through. You can see as Jacobus paddles that he's very strong and very powerful, and that's because he's actually a riot police officer. So he spends all day in the gym, and he's really able to get that boat moving, and power to weight ratio is quite incredible. And he was very lucky. He came in at 58 seconds, so a sub-minute time straight off the bat, first competitor, and that was good enough to put him in the hot seat with Miss Sickline. The next paddler up that I thought could really take Jacobus out was Fabian Duflate, who's a slalom world champion, and he's also a teammate of mine from the ADIDAS-SICKLINE team. Fabian's a very strong and very skillful paddler, and we often do quite a few expeditions with him, and I've been really impressed by his ability to really move the whitewater kayak as well as a slalom kayak. Unfortunately, just at the last Champions Killer, he kind of took a little bit of a hit and went a little bit into the eddy, and that really slowed him down. Probably not too much, but it was enough for him to be very disappointed. Next paddler that I was really eager to watch was Dane Jackson, and I was quite nervous about him going because he's often been quite a big threat, but he's always just been unlucky. And off the start line I really saw him get pushed to the left, and I was able to watch that, so I kind of had a bit of a feeling that he was going to have a beatable time, but I couldn't see just how amazing his run was until after the race. I watched his run through the lower half of the course, and it was just amazingly smooth, keeping the boat going downstream the whole time, and you can see he just must have made incredible time up through this last section, through the TNT section especially. Dane Jackson is actually a father. He's in his mid-30s, I think, and you can see he's just a phenomenal paddler, and yep, he gets 57.81 and he'll be happy with that. He was super stoked. I think everybody's happy to see him manage to take Jacobus out, as Jacobus was in there first, and for Dane Jackson to go into the hot seat with Miss Sickline. I think everybody was happy to see that. It's very important that you're keeping your nose up the whole way through the course. Keeping the nose up, keeping our power on, and making sure the line is perfect. Giving 100% power to victory. Waiting on the start bridge and then heading up to the actual start line. Again, it all comes into reality. I'm starting to get fired up and have a good feeling. I could hear the cheers from Dane's time, so I knew I had to perform pretty well in the final. And coming down the ramp, I had a pretty good start, but I wasn't super happy with it. But managed to keep the boat going straight, keep it on track, and try to keep smooth the whole way through. This is my favourite section of the river right here, coming through the double booth and then into the TNT section. You just feel like you're, this is kind of where your race is made or broken for me. Just through the new Champions Killer -1 hole, I didn't quite get the exit that I was looking for, so I was quite disappointed with that. But the Champions Killer I always love, and managed to get a nice skip out of there. And that was enough to have a reasonable time. It wasn't the fastest time I've done, but it was good enough to put me in first place for now. But knowing that the fiercest competitor was yet to come, I wasn't the happiest guy. But it's always good to hop in a hot tub with Miss Sickline. Get nice and warm after being in that 6-degree water temperature. But here's Mr. Mike Dawson, fellow countryman. And Mike is probably one of the strongest paddlers that we have in the extreme racing circle. And he's the guy I was worried about most. He was able to win the semi-final and he won the qualification. And he's always amazingly fast and amazingly smooth, and really able to do some things with his kayak that I'm unsure how he does them. His nickname's actually Mike the Mutant Dawson, so he's unhuman. But you can see there he's touched a rock, and that kind of was the start of his run to unravel. It kind of just slows your boat down from where it really needs to be, and everything just starts to come unstuck. And you can see that ultimately ended for him in the Champions Killer, where the potential champion was well and truly killed just there, getting his boat nice and deep, and it didn't really work out for him. And Mike coming in third place, he'll be extremely disappointed with that, but it worked out really well for me. I managed to get on the podium for the third time, standing on top, and got my third consecutive bout, and that was a goal that I'd set in 2010 when I won my first World Championship, so I was very stoked to have those 3 bouts.
Actually, to be honest, I didn't expect to win. On top of the start gate, I didn't have the best feeling. Normally I can tell that I'm going to win. But that time I didn't, and even sliding down I was like, oh, please just go smoothly. It went smooth enough, so yeah.
Mike Dawson quickly got over his disappointment by winning the green race only a few weeks later. And Sam Sutton, he went home to celebrate the birth of his little baby girl, Lily. One day he will tell her how he won the ADIDAS-SICKLINE Extreme Kayak World Championship 3 years in a row.